conspiracy theories. I'm specifically talking about the more wackier ones out there, anti-vaxxing and flat earthism and creationism and the moon landing being fake. First of all of these theories, for the most part, built on some sort of pattern, that's been seen by somebody. Like for the moon landing, it's so weird that the moon landing happened 1 year before the decade's end. Oh, that's so weird. It's so weird. This type of stuff can be explained simply by the fact that our brains are really, really good at finding patterns. Like, for example, there's two dots, add a dash under it. What do you see? Yes, a smiley face. Now, if you think about it, there's no smiley face there. That's literally just a dot and a bracket. But our brain is so good at finding patterns that even with this little information, you could get a face out of it. It's that good at it. That's the basis of most of these theories. Okay? Now, I am not the smartest person out there. And I ain't some sort of scientist. I just am a science fanboy, if such a thing can exist. But yeah, being a science fanboy, all of these supposed theories have so many holes that need to be filled. Like, let's just start with flat Earth. Like, if the world is supposed to be flat, how the hell does the sun rise? Because if the world is flat and the sun is twirling on top of you, shouldn't it just go out a render distance? Like, why is it setting and rising if the Earth is supposed to be flat, huh? And these people also use a theory that is pretty ancient. Geocentrism. Basically, Earth is the center of the universe. All the planets, everything revolves around Earth. The sun, it's all of that. And, well, this can be easily disproven. What do you think is simpler? Like, the planets making sad excuses for orbits around the planet Earth, or just doing plain loops around the sun? What do you think is simpler? Like Occam's razor. If you have to do so much mental gymnastics to make the planets do what they're supposed to do, don't you think the simpler option could be correct? I know geocentrism is a tangent, isn't quite related to this, but I mean, if you're gonna debunk these theories, I think I should do it completely. Geocentrism just is way too complicated and often doesn't give the correct answer. So we use this way simpler heliocentrism, where everything revolves around the sun. With flat Earth, how the hell do seasons work? Like, for the planet Earth being round, the fact that it's tilted gives us seasons. How does that work on a flat plane? How does the Coriolis effect work? Basically, at the northern hemisphere, typhoons and storms tend to rotate one direction, and the southern hemisphere, they do it in the opposite direction. How? How does that work? All of these basic questions cannot be answered simply through flat Earth. We use the globe Earth theory because it makes perfect sense. We use heliocentrism because it makes perfect sense, because it works. Like, that's the basis of science. If it matches what we predict and what we see, what we can measure, well, that model, that idea, that could be true. Now, most of these conspiracy theories don't try to explain themselves. They just put that burden on you. They try to put themselves as an opposing force and don't explain anything. And just put the burden on anyone with a brain to prove what we already know. So, I don't think I really have to prove this. So I'm just gonna ask various basic questions. If any of them can be answered by a simple solution, well, maybe flat is flat. But they can't. And of course, we got pictures, we got all of that. We can actually see the curvature of the Earth. Like, if you're far enough away from something, well, you can see the thing is dipping beneath the horizon. For example, if you see a ship moving away from you, and you're just on the coast and it's pretty clear day, you can see the bottom of the ship slowly sinking down, as you can see the top. And now people make the argument that the distance we can see, that makes no sense. We should be able to see much less if the Earth's round. Well, simply, if the Earth is flat, you could see Antarctica from here. Like, that doesn't make sense. So, that's the flat Earth section. Basically, bottom of the barrel, simplest thing to debunk. And creationism basically states that Earth just popped into existence, just like that. Life spawned, and that's it. And all of this makes absolutely no sense. Now, these people, creationists, point to religious scripture and say, hey, this says the world was created like this, so it must be true. And now, to me, you point at something, some historical text that can't be questioned to prop up your argument. You know you got a weak argument. Like, the irony isn't lost on me. I myself am referencing scientific texts, but at least those texts try to prove themselves. Like, these religious scriptures, they just say shit happened, and that's the end of that. But to me, that doesn't seem scientific. You can't really prove that. You can't just say that happened and then close your eyes, ears, and be like, yep, it's true. You see, that God told us so. We got your ears. So when pretty substantial evidence that everything didn't happen like this. And they also deny evolution, which honestly I don't get, because evolution is pretty simple if you think about it. Like, the simple fact is, are you different from your parents, your grandparents in any way, shape, or form? And if the answer is yes, well, that's your proof, basically. If small changes can occur over generations, then what if those changes are useful and help you to live? Because you can't fuck if you're dead. That's just fact. And if those small changes help you to live, well, those changes will last because they get passed to your kids. Like, are you in any way, shape, or form similar to your parents? Like, you may have small differences, maybe a ear longer, maybe a finger shorter, height difference, all of that. But maybe your color is similar, your nose shape, your face structure, all of that is similar. Well, those traits got passed down to you. And that's how evolution works. It's simple as that. And it's kind of hard to deny it. You can see with your own eyes. Like, it's pretty hard to deny it. I don't know what your proof is outside of pointing to a book. Again, the irony isn't lost to me, but basically, to me, it sounds like the creationist arguments are very weak and they don't have an argument to, prove their point of view. They're pointing to scriptures, which supposedly can't be questioned because of reasons. And so, hey, you're screwed. We won. That's their entire argument. And even these people treat flat earthers with less respect than the dirt under their feet. Like, God, it's sad, but hey, I'm open to change. Maybe if you could prove any of these ideas in a way that gets to my dumb brain. I know I'm not particularly smart, but to me, if you could prove any of these to be reasonably true, like if they could get through my dense brain, well, hey, I may be a new convert. And now, moving on, all of these conspiracy theories, like, try to blame beliefs that, don't coincide with their beliefs as the government is doing something bad. Boo-hoo! Let's move on to anti-vaxxers. These people have absolutely no proof. I was watching a video of an anti-vaxxer arguing that there are chemicals in vaccines that cause harm, like compound of mercury, which was removed. I'm specifically talking about the American versions of these things. But those things were removed, and aluminum is somewhere in the mix, and that causes autism. And from what I understand, my understanding of autism, that's horseradish. Like, autism is supposedly, from my understanding, a hereditary condition. That means you get it genetically, which means, well, you can't really cause it. If it's genetic, no amount of crack you smoke is gonna change your genome. Like, that just never gonna happen. So this entire argument falls apart that vaccines cause autism. From what I understand, vaccines basically give you a sample of the disease. If it's a smallpox vaccine, for example, those things were very effective, and that's why we don't have any smallpox around anymore. Those vaccines used cowpox, which was significantly weaker and wasn't as harmful as Big Daddy smallpox. They would infect you with cowpox, would just cause you a small fever, and that's the end of it. And after that, you would have an immunity to smallpox. So basically, it, in a sense, trains your body to fight against the actual disease. Sometimes they use same disease, if it's, for example, polio, they use polio, but either dead polio or incredibly weak polio, which again provides safety. It just trains your body. And that's how vaccines work. Man, to me, if you fall for this kind of shit, anti-vaxxing shit, and that causes you or someone influence you, like if you have a kid, any sort of harm because you didn't want to look at the research, don't believe in that stuff, and, well, didn't vaccinate your kids or stuff like that, I think that's your responsibility. And if anything happens to that person, or if anything happens to you, well, I think you're responsible. And obviously it's not the people that follow this that are mainly responsible for all of this. The people who are peddling this, those guys are responsible, because most of these conspiracies, they make a lot of money. Like, the only actual conspiracy is that most conspiracy theorists, at the top, that actual communicators, people who peddle this shit, they know that it's complete bullshit and knowingly make money off of it. Like, that's literally the definition of conspiracy. Like, knowingly doing something that harms other, that is illegal. I mean, it's less harmful for flat earth, but vaccine, that's actually harmful. Like, people have died because of this. And these guys are literal murderers. It's sickening, because remember, these guys actually kill kids because they fight against kids being vaccinated, okay? Now, if kids aren't vaccinated, they're gonna die. Like, that's why we vaccinate people. Because disease kill. And there's nothing you can do if you aren't vaccinated. There's a pretty high chance you're gonna die of that disease if you don't vaccinate yourself. Like, that's the main problem with specifically this and a few others which are genuinely harmful. Like, some of these conspiracies, the flat earth, the young earth theory, all of that crap, that's not really harmful. You can believe whatever you want, that's fine. All of these are peddled knowing that, they're gonna make a lot of money. But for vaccines, this is actively malicious, because these people know that you're gonna probably die if you're not vaccinated. This is a primary reason why the term conspiracy theory is shat on. Like, these are the kind of theories that make anyone queasy when they hear the word conspiracy theory. If I call anything a conspiracy theory, it's an insult, because most conspiracy theories are very dumb and are propagated by people who know that they're false and who know that they will make profit. That's the entire trap of this. Like, these people, conspiracy theorists, mainly the people who are peddling conspiracy theories, they stroke the ego of their followers. And after doing that, well, they make bank. It's sickening, because there's so much evidence out there that's against this, but people just don't want to listen to that because reasons. And it's not like actual conspiracies don't exist. Like, for example, in the way back when people first learned that cholesterol was a thing, there was a paper, published, which studied the richest people around. CEOs and billionaires, all of that kind of people, and was studying how long their lives are. And it found that these rich people who had all the resources were consistently dying, and it was kind of weird. And the conclusion that that paper came to was they ate a whole lot of beef, and that beef, well, it had a whole lot of cholesterol in it, and that's bad. And that was pretty successful. This theory got spread around, and this theory was used by the tobacco industry, the guys who make cigarettes, because they knew that this was not just the beef who were killing these billionaires. It was cigarettes and smoking, because these turbo rich people, well, they had all the facilities and they could buy anything to indulge in. For example, cigarettes. And cigarettes, as we know, causes cancer and shortens lifespans. That was known way, way, way back when. That was well known by then. But then the tobacco industry found that, whoa, we have a scapegoat. And they just hammered on the beef industry. And the beef industry, it's big, but you can't compete with literal drugs. Like, it's literally a mafia. You can't compete with that. And so they got squashed. Now, what I've just told you is real. And this was marketing. They showed doctors smoking cigarettes, and they showed papers published from supposedly doctors who didn't have any sort of relationship with these people. None of that. If you have a bullshit detector, that thing going ballistic. And that's an example of a actual real conspiracy theory. That I guess I myself am a conspiracy nut. Would have guessed. But if you do your research, like, you could pretty easily find this. And the fact that I put the word conspiracy theory in this factual event completely discredits it. Like, because these dumbasses peddle the dumbest shit imaginable, actual conspiracy theories, shit that's actually been proven, well, that's pushed to the side. Like, it's kind of obvious to me that the government and rich folks are doing shady stuff. Besides the point. Like, people do, shady stuff at the top. That's just what happens in the world. We live in a world like that. But it's not this stupid. Like, if the government really, really wanted us, normal folks like you and me, to not know something, I guarantee you we ain't ever gonna hear a peep about it. Like, never. Like, the shady stuff we already know about is bad enough. Imagine what we don't know about. Because I assure you, there's stuff that we don't know. Like, it's not gonna be basic shit like this. Like, we ain't that guy. Like, we aren't gonna be the people who are gonna find out about shit like this. And NASA ain't hiding the Great Wall of Ice at the end of the world. That's just not true. And now another thing is the moon landing being faked. That complete BS. Like, man, how could you simulate that? Like, dust flying and then slowly coming down. How do you simulate it? Because that's a vacuum there. Like, that's just gravity pulling them down at 1/6 speed, and you can't really do that on Earth because, well, the Earth got its own gravity, and you can't really do that. And the other thing is, you can't really reduce the gravity on Earth. That's not how it works. And the flag moving, that only happens because, well, people were holding the flag. Like, to me, it's kind of strange to think that this would be false. Like, the lighting, that can only happen when the sun's out. All conspiratorial thinking. Like, it's kind of delusional even. These people think that the entire world is after them, which is not true. Like, they think the government wants to hide the world's edge, or the fact that the moon landing is fake because, well, reasons, okay? They're bad and conspiracy. And these people prey on, your own self-image. Like, if you imagine yourself to be smart, well, these people are going to reinforce that. They're going to make you think that, well, you're smarter than you may actually be. And that makes you think it's conspiracy. And boom, you find yourself being a laughing stock for society. So yeah, well, conspiracy theories for the most part I find very stupid. A few of them which may actually be true, they get coupled with these theories makes them less credible in my eyes. Science, to me, being a science fanboy, it makes pretty much a lot of sense. I mean, if you can touch it, feel it, measure it, then it should be true. Like, to me, that's the definition of true. What you can actually measure, like see, touch, feel, the length of things, the height of things, the time that's passed, the weight of things, the number of things, all of that stuff you could actually measure. That's scientific. But all of this stuff just kind of pushes all of that out of sight, out of mind, and makes its own reality. Like conspiracies push all of what we have seen, recorded, done to one side to stink in its own sweat and makes their own reality, which is just kind of delusional. And hey, if I misrepresented any of these conspiracies and you happen to be interested or, believe in them, let me know. I would love to talk about this. Yet, because this has become my recent obsession. This conspiracy. And I assure you, I don't really believe in these. But hey, if you got good enough arguments, you got yourself a new believer. So, make your theories and make them quick, I guess. The most important question you have to ask yourself to disprove all of these theories is why? Why would this theory be true? Why? What is the reason? And most of these theories have such weak legs, they can't even stand on them. Like, they're so weak they can't even stand against the most basic of scrutiny. The simplest of questions being why. They can't even prove themselves. And the New Earthers and all of those folks that New Earth, Flat Earth, all of those folks, they just point their finger at religious texts to prove their, theories, because they know that these are incredibly weak arguments and they don't have any other argument to stand on. So religion it is. Sorry if I sounded a bit combative. That's just because from all of my research, the leaders of, these conspiracies peddle this shit because they know they're gonna make money. And they just use people to make money. And to me, those are, the actual bad people, the actual people you should be worried about, the people at the top, the people that are actually peddling this shit. Those are the people you should be worried more about, because those people, they're making money off of you. And that's really why I hate most of these conspiracies. All of these people, the major voices talking about these topics, they make the entire topic sound stupid. Like the people who are the leaders of these beliefs, their stupid makes the entire theory stupid. Stupid in an irritating way. Like whiny way. There isn't just normal ignorant stupid. That's something else. This is whiny stupid. Like they know for a fact that they can't defend themselves, so they whine, and that makes these entire beliefs sound very whiny. And just the people who figurehead these ideas are the worst people imaginable to do it. Like some of them happen to be Nazis. I just had to add there somewhere. Like one of the major flat earther is a Nazi, and another one is homophobic and all of that shit. And I just had to add that somewhere here. That's completely unrelated to, the topic at hand. But these are the people that are representing you. Like, you really want these doofuses representing you? Huh? Really? Like, if I were you and I saw these folks were the figurehead of my beliefs, I would just be like, oh shit, I'm believing the wrong thing, I gotta change my beliefs. That's about it. Yeah, just got to talk about that. Just had to add it. Yeah, that's about it. Signing out.